Hey everybody, welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina Kristina, and we are on disc 6 of season 4. We have done the Drumhead, Half a Life, the Host. Today we're on the Mind's Eye, and I will tell you, I'm a little depressed and sad for myself. I'm sorry. Um, I'm feeling sad today. I could use some likes and subscribes. I've lost about 6 or 7 subscribers this week. And this disc, out of all the Star Treks I've done, and we've done like 98 of them so far, I believe. And these have been the 3 lowest watched that I've done. Not only were they lowest watch, but I mean, some of my books reviews beat them out, which is unusual. Usually, Star Trek rules and gives me a little bit of a wave with the analytics. I like riding the wave for a few days. There's been nothing. This has been dead as a doornail. I'm serious. You guys have not watched at all the past month. I don't know what it is going on. Maybe these episodes are not up to snuff. Maybe I'm not up to snuff. Um, but you're not here, and the analytics say you've left a long time ago. The analytics say you leave before 1 minute timer, and it's up to 2 minute timer. So obviously you're gone by now. So I'm a little sad that my Star Trek videos have been doing so poorly. Maybe season 5 will be a little bit better. So like I said, we did the Drumhead, we did Half a Life, the Host. Today is the Mind's Eye. And I will tell you that this was a hard one for me. And I will also tell you there's a future one coming down the pike. I don't know specifically when, but I know there's one with Picard, and I will skip that one. I will not do that one. That I just I will not do that one. It's one of the few ones that I will never watch. And when we get there, I'll let you guys know. I don't know which one it is. It's the one where Picard is tortured. So, anyways, we're doing the Mind's Eye, and we start off with Geordi in the shuttle. Personal log, Chief Engineer Geordi LaForge, Starbase 44885.5. I'm en route to Planet Riser to attend an artificial intelligence seminar. Captain Picard has ordered me to arrive a few days early to have fun and relax. I intend to follow his orders to the best of my ability. He has the computer play music. He asks the computer about the weather on Riser. He asks the computer how long will it take for us to get there. The computer says 3 hours. I don't know why he doesn't make it go faster, warp, or anything like that to get there in a shorter period of time. He has the computer do a quiz with him, and then there's my pal. Bing, 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 bing. Ain't no bings today. Then this happens. The Romulans show up, and they take him on board their ship. They lock him in a chair. They connect a thing to his head, and they proceed to brainwash him. I do not like it. It's just upsetting. It just if you know me, if you watch my videos before, I've got this thing where I go, it's just. Well, you can make any sentence you want. I'm gonna, it could be just great, or it's just awful, or it's just romantic, or it's just disgusting. It's just horrifying. I'm leaving it up to you to put the just in whatever you want in what they do to him. Put his head, they thing the scalp on, they send um, an imposter to Riza, and they could proceed to torture and brainwash him. I don't like it. It's upsetting. It's disturbing. The last episode with the suicide stuff, no one watched that either. These have been very upsetting episodes. I want sci-fi. I want fiction. I want excitement. I want stuff going on. I want conflict. I want my conflict. I don't like this stuff. I don't like this mind stuff. I don't. I just don't. It's just very upsetting. And it's my birthday week. And there's no money for nothing. But that's okay. Because we're here. Could use a subscriber though. But if you subscribe, stay subscribed. If you're not going to stay subscribed, then don't subscribe. Don't give me false hope like that. I'm tired of. I've been up to 170, almost 180, like 3 or 4 times in the last 2 months. And I always end up back at 171 or 2. So I'd appreciate the likes and subscribes. I need to learn how to put that subscribe thing up there. But anyways, they torture his ass, they brainwash his butt. So then we have an voiceover. Captain's log, stardate 44891.6. The Enterprise has been ordered to accompany a special emissary from the Klingon High Council to the Corosian system, where one of their colonies is fighting for independence. Then they're in the ready room with Cal, Riker, and Picard. Cal is saying there was a time when the Empire would crush at rebelling. Now it is tolerated. We have enough problems on the home planet. We don't wish to divert resources to a trivial war. Picard says, you're prepared to grant them independence? Cal says, perhaps conquer them again later if we wish. Picard says, may I ask, Ambassador, what this has to do with us? Cal says, the governor of Krios has charged that the Federation is secretly aiding the rebels. Riker says, does he have evidence? Cal says, the council has sent me here to examine that evidence. It is my decision to invite you to accompany me, Captain. Many on the council have great respect for you. Picard says, Kayla, I've been pleased to offer occasional assistance to the Klingon people in the past. Cal says, your modesty is human, Captain. I will excuse it. Picard says, I assure you, Ambassador, the Federation would never interfere with internal affairs of the Empire. Cal says, let us hope not. Such interference would strike at the very basis of our alliance. Aha! Hint! Captain, we are in the war zone. Indeed. Ambassador, I ask our Chief of Security, Lieutenant Worf, to make a report. Cal says, Captain Ward's discommendations make that very awkward. It would work with one of our other security officers. Picard says, Lieutenant Worf is my Chief of Security and Tactical Officer. This matter clearly falls within his jurisdiction. Cal says, as you wish. I'm not even going to talk about it. Ugh. They strap him down, they stick the machines to his head, and they stop brainwashing him. That's when not he gets in pain, they show him stuff, they torture him, a whole 9 yards. We're just gonna say he was tortured and brainwashed and leave it at that. Except I want to point out one little thing for future episodes. Tasha Yar, or her alter evil self. That's who that is. I know the voice. I know the haircut. I know the body stance. That's Yar. That's Tasha Yar, her evil twin, or whatever you want to call it. Or the daughter, or whatever. But that's her. I thought I'd point that one out. So then we're back on the Enterprise with Worf and Kel. Kel tells them there's been 2 rebel attacks on neutral freighters, one of Ferengi, the other Cardassian. Worf says both engaged near the Kilakian asteroid belt. That's where the rebels must be hiding. Kel says the antecedents in the asteroid provide positive protection against our sensors. Worf says they might attack a freighter, but I doubt they would challenge the Federation starship. Kel says, especially with the Federation furnishing them support. Worf says, you would test the captain's word with me, Kel? Is it because I have no honor in your eyes that you expect me to be disloyal? Kel says, wrong of me to ask. My apologies. Worf says, Captain Picard does not lie. If he says there's no Federation assistance to the rebels, there is none. Kel says, good, because I risk my own reputation and honor coming to Picard. He will not disappoint you if that's all. Kel says, there are some members of the High Council who would thank you, Worf. Thank me for what? For killing Duras. No doubt he lived one day he would ascend to the head of the council. Many were not looking forward to that. Worf says, my motives were personal, not political. Kel says, motives? Who cares for motives? Humans, perhaps. What matters is you acted that day as a true Klingon. I'm wondering if Kel knows the real gist, the real stuff. We don't know. And I'm not even going to talk about this. Well, I'll talk about it, but only a little bit. So they've brainwashed LaForge. They're sending him signals. They're making him see and hear things that are not really there. And obviously, this is a complete simulation. He must be in his quarters or something, or the holodeck or something. But he's not really in 10 forward, because if this really happened, stuff would have happened. But so this is all in his imagination. The Romulans take him into 10 forward. They have him kill Chief O'Brien and then sit down and have a casual conversation with Chief O'Brien's pals while Chief O'Brien lays dead on the floor. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I'm glad to see Colm Meaney though, but I don't like it. This whole episode is making me very uncomfortable. So then we get another voiceover from the captain. Captain's log, stardate 44896.9. We're orbiting Krios, awaiting our first meeting with the Klingon governor. Commander LaForge has rejoined the Enterprise from Risa. Geordi is unloading the shuttle. Data says, welcome back. And Geordi says, Data. And he goes, how was the seminar? Geordi says, very informative. Data says, it's fortunate we were able to coordinate your return on the Talarian cruiser. Geordi says, yeah, when I heard the Federation had been ordered to Krios system, I thought I might be forced to endure another couple of weeks on Risa. Data says, I'm sorry to hear you did not enjoy yourself. Bing, 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 bing. She always goes off. Bing, 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 bing. Damn, I think it's 9 o'clock. Geordi says, I'm sorry to hear you didn't enjoy yourself. LaForge says, I was joking. Joking. Forced to endure Risa. Your actual intent was to emphasize that you did enjoy yourself. Yes, I see how that could be considered quite amusing. LaForge says, I missed you, Data. I'm not sure why he didn't take his bag to his quarters before coming to the bridge. That had me a little confused. I don't know why he'd be carrying his suitcase to the bridge. But Geordi goes, permission to come aboard. He says, Commander LaForge. Then Geordi says, permission to come aboard. Picard says, granted, welcome back. LaForge says, thank you. Picard says, he introduces Commander LaForge. This is my chief engineer. This is Cal, Commander. He's been attending a seminar on artificial intelligence on Risa. Riker says, I'm glad we got you back, Geordi. We're going to need your help on this. LaForge says, Data tells me the Federation has been accused of aiding Corosian rebels. Picard says, we're here to present with evidence today. We need your help in analyzing it. LaForge says, anything I can do. Troy says, you had a good time. LaForge says, does it show? Troy says, you're more relaxed than I've ever seen you. Uh-huh. He's been brainwashed. So then Geordi has a conversation with Troy down the hallway into the elevator, or turbo shaft, or whatever you want to call it, and then down the hallway, another hallway when they get there. And which is the chameleons have actually done the most work in artificial intelligence, so I spent a lot of time in their research seminars. She says, Jordy, I get the feeling that something special happened on this vacation, and I'm not talking about computers. LaForge says, I did take second place in a chess tournament. Troy says, yes, and I swam a lot. I worked on my backstroke. The water is very calming in Riza. And I walked a lot. Well, that's all. I ate enough for 12 people. The food there is terrific. They've got a chocolate there, Council, you would love. Troy says, is all there? And LaForge says, yeah, well, there was this. Yes. Her name was Jonic. You wouldn't want to hear about it. Better get ready for duty. Nice talking to you, Counselor. And he leaves. Like with Dev. Okay, so then we're back on the bridge of the Enterprise. And Data says, Commander Riker. Riker says, what is it? He goes, our sensors have detected a brief energy fluctuation in the E-band. Riker says, E-band, that's unusual. What's the source? Data says, unknown, sir. E-band emissions are difficult to localize. Riker says, collapsing protostars sometimes emit E-band bursts. Data says, yes, however, there are no protostars in this sector. Riker says, you'd better run a complete diagnostic. Keep me posted. Data says, yes, sir. The other half of Troy and Geordi's talk. Oh, I hate when I can't find a group shot showing the whole room. It drives me crazy that I can't do that. So they're in the governor's office, and Ivok says, we talk, we socialize, we waste time, and the insurrection continues to grow. These rebels need to be crushed, not coddled. Gal says, Governor, I think it's not a matter what you or I think. The High Council's made its wishes clear. Voss says the council should be more interested in the Federation's interference. Picard says, Governor, exactly what do you think the Federation has done? Voss says, your medical supplies have been found in rebel strongholds. Riker says, we make no effort to restrict access to our medical supplies. Voss says, are your weapons also freely available? Picard says, no, they are not. So then he shows him the weapon. Um, uh, You took this weapon from the rebels? That and many more like it. It does appear to be Federation issue. Picard says, Governor, with your permission, I'd like to take this back to the Enterprise to verify its origin. Voss says, as you wish, I have hundreds more. Picard says, even if these weapons are genuine, I can assure you that a third party must have been involved. The Federation is not in the business of supplying arms to rebels. There is that thing called the Prime Directive. The Prime Directive. We do not disobey the Prime Directive. We let other people fight their battles. Um, uh, this is the only Klingon colony on the border of Federation space. You cannot deny that Starfleet would be happy to see Kronos gain its independence. It would reduce your vulnerability to attack. Picard says, Governor, you can speak as if we are enemies, not allies. Voss says, you speak the lies of Tachek, and then Picard says, quiet church back or whatever. And Kel says, gentlemen, and Voss says, you swear well, Picard. You must have Klingon blood in your veins. No, Borg blood in his veins. Governor, I will report to you as soon as the analysis of the weapon is complete. Captain, Commander, and they beam up to the Enterprise. So then we're back in engineering. And LaForge says, well, if you guys keep running at this efficiency, I might as well go back to Riser for another week. Just run through a level 4 series and then call it a night. I'd help you, but there's something I got to take care of. So we're not gonna go through this. He dumps a drink on O'Brien. It's a test to see if LaForge would kill O'Brien. So this is the first step. If he'll dump the drink on him purposely, then he'll kill him. And I just don't like this at all. It bothers the hell out of me. And we're gonna leave it at that. So then we're back in engineering, and Geordi is working with Data. Data says energy flow is within normal parameters from the pre-fire chamber to the emission repertoire. LaForge says rapid Nady impulse right on target, beam control assembly, safety interlock, both checked, beam width intensity controls are also responding correctly. Data says cell usage remains constant at 1.05 megajoules per second. Curious, the efficiency reading on the discharge crystals is well above Starfleet specification. Yeah, by quite a bit, 0.941 efficiency. Data says our most efficient discharge crystals typically fires 86.5%. LaForge says, let's take a close look at the wave pattern on the emission beam. That might tell us why it's losing so little energy. Data says pulse frequency on the pre-fire chamber reads steady. LaForge says, that's not right. The initial output spike is inverted. Data says that might suggest the weapon has been charged with force pulse well into the Tetraxenian range. LaForge says that is definitely not Starfleet issue, and there can't be many systems that use the terahertz feeds. Data says 327 to our knowledge. We probably achieve an exact match with a random computer search. It would take 3 hours. LaForge says, I think we could narrow down this with a little common sense. Data. Who has the most to gain from a conflict between the Klingons and the Federation? Romulans! They all go down to the governor's office. LaForge says the Romulans. They fashioned a perfect Federation rifle, but they had to charge it from their own energy sources. So the discharge crystal and the emission pattern beam both correspond to those you'd find in a Romulan disruptor. Boggs says the Romulans have no interest in caressing independence. The planet is too far from their borders. Picard says, but they do have an interest in driving the Federation and the Empire apart. Our alliance is the only thing that has kept them in check. Boggs says Romulan replicators using stolen Federation technology. Cal is a typical Romulan ploy, attempt to sow dissension and mistrust. Commander, you've done well. I would thank you on behalf of the Empire. Boggs says, I still have my doubts. Picard says, I still want my own technicians to confirm your finding. Picard said, of course, my staff will give you their full cooperation. Va, you may go. So then we're back on the Enterprise on the bridge at the science station. Riker says, another E-band? Data says yes, however, the difference in intensity indicates that this one did not originate from the same location as the first. Riker says, it's charge intensity, you can't possibly be a protostar. Data says that is a reasonable assumption. Data says, is there any known instance of Romulans using E-band communications? Data says, not to my knowledge. Riker says, can you track the source? Data says, we can reconfigure the primary sensor array. If we narrow the focus to scan for E-band emissions, we might be able to calculate a directional vector, but only if there are more occurrences. Riker says, do it. So here we have Geordi in the shuttle bay sending down a shipment of guns to the planet because he's been brainwashed. All right, so then they get hailed from the governor. Bond says, you astonish me, Picard. Did you seriously believe you would succeed? Do you think we are blind? Picard says, I don't understand. Bond says, we intercepted the weapons you tried to transport to the surface. Picard says, Governor, I assure you. And Vaughn says, do not insult us both by denying it. Maintain your position until further notice. Do not attempt to leave orbit. When he leaves, two warbirds appear on screen. Data says, sensors confirm an unauthorized transporter beam at 11:23 hours. Picard says, do you know which transporter was used? LaForge says, I'm not sure, Captain. Whoever did it apparently used the planetary array to bypass the transport logs. They're blank. How many people on board are capable of doing this, Geordi? I'm not even sure how it was done. As soon as I find out, maybe I can give you an answer. Not many, that's for sure. Cal answers, Vaughn is fully prepared to fire upon the Enterprise. I'm convinced him it would not be wise to take any action without first consulting the High Council. Riker says, how long do we have? Cal says, a few hours at most. Because as Mr. LaForge, your recommendations, it might be possible to locate the point of origin by tracing power flows at the time of transport. Picard says, make it so. We're in engineering. Data says the primary plasma system does not indicate a power drain from any of the transporters. LaForge says then whoever used the transporter must have bypassed the primary feeds. Data says tracking power from secondary systems, no surges to any of the transporters indicated. Damn, who would have pulled this off? Try the life support power flows. No abnormal surges. Replicator waveguides there. That's not a replicator energy program. Trace it. Data says Cargo Bay 4. And they all head to Cargo Bay 4. So we've got Data and Geordi. And O'Brien and Worf in the cargo bay. O'Brien says, I've run a level 1 diagnostic. As far as I can tell, the unit hasn't been tampered with. LaForge says, this is the transfer point. Data says, perhaps the perpetrator reprogrammed the memory chips to erase any record. O'Brien says, you're talking about 30 or 40 chips and a half a dozen different control systems. Worf says, which members of the crew could have done this? And LaForge says, me, Data, LaCosta, and that's about it. Worf says, procedure requires that I ask each of you where you were at 11:23. Brian says, I was with Kiko in the Arboretum. Data says, I was on the bridge, and LaForge was in his quarters. He's the only one that doesn't have an alibi. He was in his quarters. So there's a little hint there. Worf says, was anybody with you? He says, no, I was alone. Costa was on duty in engineering. I'm sure he's got 20 witnesses. Worf says, then there's someone on board who isn't what he or she seems to be. LaForge says, Data, let's do a detailed scan on every chip in this assembly. There's got to be some kind of trail we can follow. So then Geordi and Data give their report to Cal and Captain Picard. The isolinear chips were definitely altered. LaForge says programmed to erase all operator commands once the transfer was complete. Cal says, but the chips erased, what evidence remained? Data says the erasures were complete, however, analysis of the subatomic structure revealed an almost undetectable residual pattern. In time, we may be able to reconstruct the perpetrator's alteration code. Cal says, do you have any idea who's responsible? LaForge says, no idea. Everyone with the necessary skills has an alibi except for me. I was alone in my quarters at that time. Cal says, then whoever did this must have specifically trained for the task. Picard says, our forensic team is trying to identify anyone who might have been in our cargo bay for today. LaForge says, it's not going to be easy. There were a lot of people in and out of there. Riker to Data. Data says, yes, Commander. Riker says, sensors have authorized another E-tram admission. Data says, acknowledge. I will be there shortly. Cal says, an E-band emission. Data says, we have been picking up curious intermittent blip. Commander Riker has speculated that may be a Romulan transmission. I am attempting to track its source. Picard says, proceed. Thank you, Mr. LaForge. Geordi and Data leave. And then Cal says, we do not have much time. Picard is not known for his patience. Picard says, then assure him that we were doing everything possible and advise him that if necessary, I will defend my ship. Picard says, with your permission, I'll transport down to the plant. Picard says, of course. Cal says, may I suggest that you issue an invitation to Vought to personally witness your continuing investigation? Picard says, do you think he'll come? Cal says, I will do everything in my power to see that he does. Kepler, Picard. And Picard says, Kepler. And then we have another uncomfortable situation. So then Cal activated his device. LaForge goes to see him, and he tells him The investigation is moving faster than we expected. You are in danger of being exposed. I will transport to the surface. When I return, I will have the governor with me. Your captain and I will bring him to the cargo bay. I want you to kill him there in front of all those witnesses. I don't like it. I don't like brainwashing. I don't like my characters being controlled by other beings, or taken over, or consumed, or brainwashing. I don't like it. I want my sci-fi to be fun and interesting, enjoyable. I want the good guys to fight the bad guys. I don't want the bad guys to control my good guys' bodies and minds. Just saying. He's having bad dreams. I think he might have dreamed that he killed O'Brien, and he calls O'Brien, and O'Brien says he's okay. So then he goes to see Dr. Crusher. What I don't understand is she uses her little device to scan his head. She uses her little device to scan his visor, and she finds nothing wrong. Why does she find nothing wrong? She should get some kind of alert that there's something going on. Why doesn't her devices pick up what's going on? That he's been brainwashed, that his brain's been tampered with, that his device has been tampered with. Why doesn't she pick all this stuff up? That's my frustration. Shall we go on? So then Klingons beam aboard, and Cal maneuvers it so they go to the cargo bay. Sneaky bastard. Okay, so then Riker talks to Data. From inside the Enterprise, you're sure. Data says the first and third E-band blips have clearly generated on board the ship. The second came from the planet's surface. Generated by what? Data says unknown, sir. Mr. Data, we have a known spy on board, and now we have unexplained signals on board. I think it's reasonable to assume that they're related somehow, wouldn't you? Data says one could speculate that the E-band is being used for some form of covert communication. Riker says we need more than explanation. Mr. Data, we need to know who, what, where, what, when, and why, or we may be going to war. Yes, sir. Computer run analysis of all Romulan transmission forms, all bands, identity, and commodity, blah, 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 blah. He goes through it. He has all this other speculations. And then he says, broaden the search pattern beyond communications. Does the waveform display conform to any natural phenomena, cryptic formats, or life form emissions? The computer says the signal corresponds to a delta compressed wavelength spectrum similar to a human neural frequencies. Data says as in a human brainwave pattern. Computer says affirmative. What kind of receiver would be capable of processing these signals? A system designed to modify the electromagnetic spectrum and carry these messages directly to the brain. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Light bulb. It goes and examines Geordi's shuttle and discovers that the shuttle's integrity have been the nose section and the aft thrusters, and the computer says the cause was a tractor beam. Light bulb, light bulb, light bulb. So then we go to the cargo bay, and Data contacts Worf and tells him to take possession of Geordi immediately. Now I have some questions here. So Worf is on the ladder, and he's looking down, and he's going to come down the ladder. And these two guys are going to stop him from advancing. Why? Why do they stop him from advancing? I want to know why. They just stop him, and that forces Picard to act. Because Worf gets Picard's attention about Geordi. But I still want to know why the two Klingon guys stop Worf from approaching. Are they in on it? See? They're stopping him when he approaches, and I want to know why. Okay, so then Captain Picard sees him, gets his arm, and they fire to the ceiling. Mr. Worf, get him out of here. Worf shrugs off the Klingons and leaves with Geordi as Data arrives. Arming our enemies is not enough. Now the Federation would murder me to achieve its aims. Picard says, Governor, if I could explain this, I would. Data says, I believe I can explain, Captain. I've been able to determine. So Data says, I believe I can help. Captain, I've been able to determine that Commander LaForge was abducted by Romulans en route to Risa. It is likely that he was somehow forced to take part in the assassinate Governor Vaughn. Cal says, I saw no evidence of Romulans, just witnessed him acting very much alone. Data says, no, sir, you did not. I do not believe the commander is acting out of his own accord. He has been receiving E-band signals through his visor, signals which are carrying direct commands to his brain. I have surmised that Commander LaForge was conditioned by Romulans, a process referred to historically and somewhat inaccurately as brainwashing. Boggs says, to what end? Why would the Romulans want to kill me? Picard says, the Romulans have always wanted to destroy the alliance between the Federation and the Klingons. If Mr. LaForge had killed you, Governor, I think you would agree they might have succeeded. Cal says, who sent these signals? A cloaked Romulan ship? Data says, no, sir, that's not possible. The signals have to be transmitted within close proximity to the visor. Picard says, are you suggesting that a Romulan accomplice in close proximity to LaForge when he was receiving the signals? Data says, yes, I am. Boggs says, this Romulan accomplice, who is he? Data says, I have narrowed down the list of possibilities to 2 people. The only 2 people who were with Commander LaForge all 3 times the transmission was recorded was Captain Picard and Ambassador Cal. One of them may be concealing an E-band transmitter if they would agree to be searched. So, he doesn't want to be searched, and he says, I am a Klingon, an emissary of the High Council. I will not be submitting to search by you or anyone else on the ship. Voss says, I am forced to agree, Captain. We will take the ambassador with us and search him ourselves. Cal says, Captain, I believe in all best interests if I remain on board. I formally request asylum. Picard says, I will certainly grant you asylum when you have been absolved of this crime. And they beam down to the surface. I keep hoping the camera would pull back and show both of them. But LaForge is talking to Troy. And he says, but I remember everything. Like, there was this one night at dinner, we had this Andronian waiter, and he couldn't get the orders right. Troy says, I know you do. Just take that memory and put it aside for a moment and tell me everything you remember about the shuttlecraft trip after you left the Enterprise. Well, I was trying to get in the mood. I played some music. I talked to the computer. You know, it's a long trip. Troy says, when you saw the Romulan ship, did you try calling for help? No, the first thing I did, wait a minute, it'll take time, Geordi, a long time, but we'll reconstruct your memory together. LaForge says, I'm not sure about anything. Troy says, believe it or not, that's a good sign, a beginning. Now let's go back to the shuttlecraft. There was a Romulan ship, and the first thing you did was, and that's when the episode ends. So, that's the end of Mind's Eye. That's the end of this disc. Drumhead, Half a Life, The Host, and The Mind's Eye. And sorry about that. Have you seen my case? I don't like it at all. I don't like it. It's too flimsy. The things can fall. But we are heading in to season 5. So let's get going to season 5. I will see you on the flip side. Have a good one. Before we go, we've got a new thing, a new holodeck. Redemption Part 2. This is the wrong disc. Okay, who knew? There's a disc 7. So next week we'll be doing In Theory, and we'll start Redemption Part 1. Should be interesting, and maybe somebody will actually watch these videos. I don't know what's going on with my Star Trek videos, but I'm really kind of upset that no one's been watching lately. They used to get the most views, but I'm glad my book views are getting more. I would like people, I put a lot of work into those book views. I put a lot of work into this video too. So please hit the like and subscribe and let me know I'm doing a good job. Have a good day, y'all. A rainy day, but a good day. Have a good one. Bye.